Noam Chomsky, a name synonymous with intellectual rigor and unyielding activism. You know the name, right? If you've ever delved into linguistics, politics, or media studies, you've likely encountered his work. MIT professor, political activist, one of the most cited scholars ever. His contributions span across multiple disciplines, making him a towering figure in academia. This guy's a big deal, not just in the academic world, but also in the realm of public discourse. He's like the intellectual heavyweight champion, except instead of throwing punches, he throws ideas. Ideas that challenge the status quo and provoke deep thought. And those ideas? They pack a wallop. They force you to reconsider your assumptions and look at the world through a different lens. Chomsky's been shaking things up for decades. From the Vietnam War to contemporary issues, his voice has been a constant call for justice and reason. He challenges authority, questions everything, and makes you think. His lectures are not just educational, they are transformative experiences. He's that friend who always brings up uncomfortable truths at dinner parties, but you can't help but listen. His insights are too compelling to ignore. Powers and Prospects is classic Chomsky, a must-read for anyone interested in understanding the dynamics of power and the role of media in shaping public perception. It's a collection of essays where he dissects power, politics, and the media. Each essay is a deep dive into the mechanisms that govern our society. Chomsky doesn't pull any punches. His critiques are sharp, his arguments well-founded, and his call to action clear. He exposes the systems of control that shape our world and calls for action. His work is a rallying cry for those who seek to understand and change the world. This ain't light reading, folks, but it's important. It's the kind of work that stays with you, that you ponder long after you've put the book down. Chomsky makes you question everything you thought you knew about the world. His work is a journey into the depths of human thought and societal structures. He's a voice for the voiceless, a champion for justice, a true intellectual badass. His legacy is not just in his writings, but in the minds he has opened and the lives he has touched. Alright, let's break down Powers and Prospects. This book, written by Noam Chomsky, is a deep dive into the dynamics of power and the potential for change in our society. Chomsky, a renowned linguist and political activist, has spent decades analyzing the structures that govern our world. In a nutshell, Chomsky argues that concentrated power, like big corporations and governments, don't always have your best interests at heart. These entities often prioritize their own agendas over the needs and well-being of the general public. This isn't just a theory, it's a pattern observed throughout history. Shocker, right? He says these powerful groups often manipulate and control information to maintain their grip on power. This manipulation isn't always overt, it can be subtle, shaping the narratives that we consume daily. From the news we watch to the books we read, information is curated to serve specific interests. Chomsky dives deep into how propaganda works. He explains that propaganda isn't just about spreading false information, it's about framing issues in a way that benefits those in power. This can involve omitting certain facts, emphasizing others, or presenting information in a biased manner. He argues that the media, often controlled by those in power, shapes public opinion and influences our understanding of the world. The media can create a sense of urgency around certain issues while downplaying others, effectively guiding public perception and discourse. Think about it. Who decides what news stories you see, hear, or read? It's not just about what is reported, but also about what is left out. This selective reporting can shape our worldview in significant ways, often without us even realizing it. But don't worry, it's not all doom and gloom. Chomsky doesn't just highlight the problems, he also points towards solutions. He believes in the power of education and awareness as tools for change. By understanding how these systems work, we can begin to challenge them. Chomsky also offers a glimmer of hope. He suggests that through collective action and solidarity, ordinary people can make a difference. It's about coming together, sharing knowledge, and working towards common goals. He believes that ordinary people have the power to create change. This isn't just wishful thinking. History is full of examples where grassroots movements have led to significant social and political transformations. He argues that by organizing, resisting, and challenging the status quo, we can build a more just and equitable society. It's a call to action for all of us to be more critical, more engaged, and more proactive in shaping the world we want to live in. Chomsky sees power structures everywhere. He believes that these structures are deeply embedded in the fabric of our society, influencing not just the political and economic spheres, but also our social interactions and personal beliefs. He argues that they're not just about governments and corporations, they permeate every aspect of our daily lives. From the media we consume to the education we receive, power structures shape our understanding of the world. They exist in our everyday lives, influencing our thoughts and actions. For instance, the way news is presented to us can subtly guide our opinions and beliefs without us even realizing it. He talks about the manufacture of consent, which is a fancy way of saying that powerful groups use propaganda to make us believe things that benefit them. This isn't just about blatant lies, it's about framing information in a way that aligns with their interests. They control the narrative, shape public opinion, and maintain their power. By controlling the flow of information, they can make certain ideas seem natural and inevitable, while marginalizing or discrediting alternative viewpoints. Think about it. How many times have you gone along with something just because everyone else was? This is a classic example of social conformity, where the desire to fit in leads us to adopt the behaviors and beliefs of those around us. That's the power of social conformity, and Chomsky argues that it's often manipulated by those in power. They understand that by influencing the majority, they can create a ripple effect that brings everyone else in line. But Chomsky also believes in the power of the people. He emphasizes that awareness is the first step towards change. By recognizing these power structures, we can begin to question and challenge them. He argues that by understanding how these power structures work, we can start to dismantle them. It's about reclaiming our agency and refusing to be passive recipients of information. Through critical thinking and collective action, we can create a more just and equitable society. So what can we do? Chomsky believes that change starts with education and awareness. We need to understand the systems of power that govern our lives and be critical of the information we consume. He's a big advocate for grassroots movements, direct action, and challenging the status quo. Chomsky believes that by organizing, protesting, and making our voices heard, we can hold the powerful accountable. He also stresses the importance of international solidarity. Chomsky argues that global problems require global solutions, and we need to work together to create a more just and equitable world for everyone. Section 5. Chomsky in the 21st century. Chomsky's ideas are even more relevant today than ever before. The rise of social media, the spread of misinformation, and the growing influence of corporations have made his critiques of power structures even more prescient. Think about it. How much of what you see online is actually true? How much of it is shaped by algorithms designed to keep you engaged, even if it means feeding you misinformation? Chomsky's work helps us understand these complex issues and provides a framework for navigating the challenges of the 21st century. He reminds us to be critical thinkers, question everything, and fight for a better future. Section 6. Real-world Chomsky, examples in action. Let's get specific. Remember the Iraq War? Chomsky was a vocal critic, arguing that the Bush administration used propaganda to manufacture consent for the invasion. He pointed out the inconsistencies in their arguments and exposed the hidden agendas at play. And what about the climate crisis? Chomsky argues that corporations driven by profit are the primary culprits. He calls for a radical transformation of our economic system to address this existential threat. Chomsky's ideas are everywhere, even if you don't realize it. His work has influenced countless activists, journalists, and everyday people who are fighting for a more just and equitable world. Section 7. Chomsky and the media manufacturing consent. One of Chomsky's most important contributions is his analysis of the media. He argues that the media, often controlled by corporate interests, plays a crucial role in shaping public opinion and maintaining the status quo. He coined the term manufacturing consent to describe how the media filters information, selects narratives, and presents a particular worldview that benefits those in power. Think about it. How often do you see stories that challenge the dominant narrative? How often do you hear voices from marginalized communities? Chomsky argues that the media often silences dissent and reinforces existing power structures. Section 8. The enduring impact of Chomsky's work. Chomsky's work has had a profound impact on our understanding of power, politics, and the media. He's inspired generations of activists, scholars, and everyday people to question authority, challenge injustice, and fight for a better world. His ideas are as relevant today as they were decades ago, providing a critical lens through which to view the world around us. Chomsky's work is a call to action, a reminder that we all have a role to play in creating a more just and equitable society. Section 9. Conclusion, a call to action. So, there you have it. Powers and Prospects is a challenging but essential read. Chomsky's work is a wake-up call, urging us to become more informed, engaged, and active citizens. He reminds us that we're not powerless, we have a voice, we have agency, and together we can create a world that works for everyone, not just the privileged few.